Not a good sign for the local indigenous community that I'm still trying to reach out to because they need help. That's what I hear. That's a common theme among all education-related industries that they are too late to get qualified people. They don't know how to get qualified. They don't know how to do a probation period, oversight, evaluate staff. But with indigenous communities, I find they kind of don't care, even though there's people in the roles to hire, they don't care that they're short-staffed, and that's a different kind of abuse to their young generation that is slightly more elevated than the non-indigenous communities. I'm listening to Sumi interviewing the MLA for the hospital emergency official opening. I don't know if that was in the paper. I didn't see it. And when you hear the MLA talk, I don't know if Sumi noticed this, but it sounds like there's a pattern that this is an indigenous hospital. And I do agree that I've noticed, and other people have noticed, that there's some preferential treatment in some ways. And I've had to compensate for that to kind of say, hey, can I get that same kind of service or help? And so that, that's an inequality. There's no truth in reconciliation or trauma healing when you kind of switch the oppression from one side to the other. That's not how it works. Downstairs, Filipinos, I'm still always going to be triggered unless I told you I get a Filipino counselor, and she or he would often apologize on behalf of their own cultural patterns, right? It's the only way I could heal from that. So I'm tired because they park their vehicles closest to the building in the parking lot, blocking others. It's not even in parking spots, and I don't think they're always carrying super heavy things in their little cars, right? So I'm thinking I have to say to them, hey, do you mind? Like, I'm not moving my vehicle right now, but other people make it hard to go in and out. Plus, there's the wife of a tenant who parks there just because of their mobility issues, and you're taking up those angles to the building and door. So, which of course is also a fire hazard, but fire hazards only apply to tenants to reduce, not to staff, it seems, because there's a lot of things that I've pointed out that is unfair and that are double standards. So when I say, do you mind? I say, do our cars there bother you? And this is the pattern. This is the pattern of dealing with adult children, which is the norm, which is you. And it's, I shouldn't have to tell you. Okay, so you should know that you shouldn't be there. So in a way, I resent having to be your moms and dads, the responsible adult in the room, to people that are employed and that probably have kids. And I have no work, not even as a volunteer, and I have no children of my own, although your kids often orbit towards me instead of you because of my skill sets. And so, I just resent that. It's such a normalized pattern that I interact with you and find out. So I wanted to say that I might try that community again, but if I kind of get ridiculous, I'm not going to spend money to go there to introduce myself, right? It's up to them. Like when you send emails and when you leave voicemails, and their website looks good. It's just that it doesn't fit when you call the phone number. The extensions are different, and it's incongruent, and people don't want to fix things that they don't know how to fix. But what about asking the people that do provide, let's say, voicemail service? Like when people don't self-correct or they don't understand what cultural repair is, it's very, very annoying. It's very annoying that I told Sumi with the CBC a month and a half ago, hey, have you noticed the paper this week shouldn't be called The View, the Northern View. It should be called the Chamber of Commerce or Business Industry Newsletter. And again, this is not community related, it's business related. Then I have to kind of see this guy's picture again in the paper, and this is submitted, so they didn't have to write it. And of course, this is a big financer of these papers, so they advertise themselves. It has nothing to do with community, and the communities do notice these patterns. But, I look forward to having news about things I might be interested in, but it's all, this guy is horrible with real people skills, which are the same as interacting with dogs, but somehow he's a specialist. And, these old guys talk about the same old that they kind of think is what makes the world go round. They have their own take on it. And then there's a lot of these sports, right? These sports that I'm not interested in, but good for you anyways. If you kind of have success in any sport, really, it takes discipline. Good for you. And then, well, I'm gonna try curling soon. And but you know, like, is it that there's Port Authority people play there, and so they kind of have all these millions of dollars that are never invested in community-minded things like fixing the commons that people are supposed to share. I've noticed these patterns here that sometimes it says the day for karaoke, sometimes it doesn't, and it's very inconsistent. Sometimes you're missing actual dates and things of these events they're advertising. It's so sloppy, very sloppy work. Always a trigger for me that I spent months helping them move. And then I resigned. I'm saying I was really interested in getting training in search and rescue, so I'm going to resign. And then they don't know how to answer that in a kind of responsible adult kind of way, right? Accountability way. And then suddenly they advertise they're always in the paper, like I see every 2 weeks. And then they advertise they're going to do training, and I show up, and then suddenly the next week, oh, we're full. We didn't know you. The hell was there last week? Like, why didn't you contact me? Oh, I'm not sure how to contact you. It's like, make an effort. We've had multiple messages on Facebook. And plus, like, save a spot for me. Like, you know, if I get lost, I'm thinking in the woods, I kind of might call 911. But I'm going to say, don't send Prince Rupert Search and Rescue. There's too many triggers, right? You know, maybe send Terrace. And it's sad. It's sad they won't address this, right? And I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying, you know, have you ever learned about life skills, Saskatchewan? Have you ever heard about the concept of taking responsibility for your actions, of having conversations where maybe an apology would be appropriate? Have you ever heard of being self-aware?